Hello, good evening, and welcome to IMaH here on Metropolitan Television. IMaH is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA. The show tonight is streaming live on our social media platforms. If you go to Facebook, we are streaming live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. We're also streaming live at Port of Tema, also on Facebook. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at IMaH Ghana. Our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to see all that transpired here on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. We shall be getting interactive with you as usual, and so all you have to do is send us your comments and messages via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559 019 177, 0559 019 177. At the appropriate time, we shall be sharing them with the rest of the world. Indeed, we shall also be activating the phone lines when I pick signals from my production team. The time is ripe for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We're going for a quick break. We're going to bounce back. When you continue the show, please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, streetlights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the flood have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
You're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And one story we would like to bring to you today is the 2021-2022 National Service Persons who were posted to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. They were posted to the various units, and while at it, they also took time to make some kind of meaningful impact in the society. Let's take a look at these stories.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority takes it upon itself to absorb as many national service personnel as it can, to impart upon them the necessary fundamental skills that will prepare them for the job market and life as a whole. Last year, GPHA took up 340 graduates from the various tertiary institutions in the country to undertake their national service in the various departments of the organization. A year on, after learning and participating in the port and maritime industry, one of Ghana's vibrant sectors, the 2021-2022 year group are leaving to usher in a new batch of national service personnel. As part of the NASPA Week celebrations to cap off their stay at GPHA, the national service personnel have made some contributions that are expected to make a lasting impact on the community. This includes the refurbishment of the female surgical ward at the Tema General Hospital. The refurbishments comprised fixing of the ward's leaking roof, painting of the ward, provision of 10 wall fans, window blinds, 6 cardiac tables, 2 patient trolleys, 1 wheelchair, 5 dustbins, food, and other essential items.
So it will go a long way to help us. The trolley especially, our own it's not in good shape. When we are taking patients to theater, they come for admission here before we take them to theater. So on the way, if you don't take care, the patients can fall. So as they've provided 2 trolleys, we are really happy, and we will make sure that we take good care of it to help the patients. Again, the dustbins, it have pedal. The ones that we have to open with our own hands. After taking care of patients, you go and then open the bin with your hand. So this will go a long way to help us not to infect ourselves. And the fan, the ward is very hot. So as they've provided now, the patients are even sleeping comfortably because the fans are on. And then the painting of the ward, in fact, it has changed the beauty.
It wasn't an easy task. Sometimes, a day like 3 days ago, we had to leave here around 11 p.m. So if we left here around 11 p.m., you can imagine the time we got home. But then it was our desire, it was our fervent hope to do this. So we are so grateful to all and sundry who, through thick and thin, supported our cause. Mention is made of our Director General, who supported us immensely, and then also the senior staff, and then all the staff within the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority.
The group also engaged in a blood donation exercise for the International Maritime Hospital, which they believe will go a long way to help save lives. The 2021-2022 National Service personnel, as part of their celebrations, held a sports competition, a fundraising car wash event, a boat cruise, and a dinner party. At the end of service dinner party, the best performing service personnel were awarded for their outstanding service during their stay.
I am tempted to believe that wherever all of you got to serve, you did a fantastic job. Give yourself a round of applause. What I want to say is that each and every one of you here has a destiny. God has a plan for each and every one of you. Therefore, don't go out there and compare yourself to anybody. Somebody may get a job before you, somebody may get an opportunity to upgrade themselves. But trust that when it's your time, greater things will happen for you.
I hope that as you step out into the world of work, you carry what you learned from GPHA. I do hope that you learned something useful. And I was glad that the Reefer Terminal National Service people, they put together a thesis of some of the challenges and the things that they had observed at the Reefer Terminal. And I say kudos to them for that work.
So we cannot also help but say kudos to the 2021-2022 National Service Persons Year Group at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Later on in the show, we shall be coming your way with happenings in the global shipping space. But for now, we're going for the word of the day. Remember, the word of the day has been designed to bring you up to speed with our terminologies and jargons in the shipping space. And today's word is demurrage. Demurrage.
Demurrage refers to the charge that the merchant pays for the use of the container within the terminal beyond the free time period. This charge is paid to the shipping lines who are the owners or custodians of the containers.
All right, so we are zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we are taking a look at the letter of commitment. Letter of commitment. Now, if you are an exporter, this is a very familiar word to you. Now, the letter of commitment is a necessity, or it's a necessary requirement if you are supposed to export from Ghana. And so tonight we're taking a look at it. We want to see what it is, its relevance, its importance, and why you must necessarily acquire it. What are the processes you need to go through in order to access or to acquire a letter of commitment from the Bank of Ghana? Later on in the show, we shall also be discussing some, the 5th anniversary celebrations of the International Maritime Hospital. That's coming later on in the show. And so please do stick with us. And I'll go straight away and introduce my first guest, who is in the person of Mr. Eric Kweku Hammond. He is Deputy Director of Foreign Banking Operations at the Bank of Ghana. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you, sir, and I'm pleased that you have me on your program this evening.
Absolutely, we are glad to have you. Now, I am aware that you've been all over the country, both south, north, middle belt, and all that. What were you doing? What took you out of the comfort of your office, to scout or to roam the country, Ghana?
Thank you once again, and good evening to your charity viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in the month of August, Bank of Ghana, together with other stakeholders, undertook a nationwide sensitization program covering all the regions in Ghana, and it took us to the northern part of the country, and then back to the southern part of the country. All it was about was to sensitize the exporting community, about the use of the LOC, which has become a legal requirement for all exporters to use, and to bring to their doorsteps, whatever information they need, to understand the importance and the relevance of the LOC, so that they would comply with the use of the LOC.
Right. So first of all, I just wanted to tell us, let's go back to basics. What is the letter of commitment, or the LOC?
The letter of commitment, and LOC for short, is a computer-based export document that is prepared online, introduced by Bank of Ghana way back in 2016, to be used by exporters to facilitate export of merchandise commodity from Ghana. So in short, it is a document that is to be used by exporters, to facilitate the export business in Ghana.
Yes, in your earlier submission, you made mention that the LOC has become a legal requirement in terms of exports. When did it effectively become a legal requirement?
Actually, the legal basis for the use of the LOC date as far back as the year 2002, when the Parliament of this country enacted the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, and that Act mandate Bank of Ghana, and gave us the responsibility to ensure the effective implementation of that Act. And that Act also, if you go to Section 2, Subsection 3, it also, placed responsibility on Bank of Ghana to make rules, regulations, and so that we'll be able to effectively implement the Act. Now, back to the use of the LOC. Now, if you go to Section 15 of the Act, it provides as follows. 1, each payment in foreign exchange, to and from Ghana between resident and non-resident, and between resident, should be made through a bank in Ghana. So it means that any time there's the need for anybody, to transfer funds from or to Ghana, there's the need for that transaction to be channeled through the banking system. Now, subsection 2 of the section 15 also makes it specific that payment for merchandise commodity from Ghana should also be made by the importers bank through the exporters bank in Ghana. So whenever exporters export merchandise commodities to any part of the world, and then the importer is making payment, the payment should be channeled through the banking system of Ghana. And then subsection 4 is where the crux of the matter is. I mean, there is a penalty, or there are penalties for failing to repatriate export proceeds in Ghana. And the penalties are as follows. Whoever fails to repatriate export proceeds will be fined 5,000 penalty unit. And the value of the penalty unit is what the court of competent jurisdiction will have to determine. Apart from that, whoever committed that offense will also be liable to a term of imprisonment of not more than 10 years. It means that if you contravene the act and you are brought before the law court, the court can also imprison you for a jail term up to 10 years. If you're unlucky, depending on the gravity of your non-compliance, you could have both, where the court would apply the fine on you and then again go on to also imprison you. So these are the legal framework. In addition to this, the Bank of Ghana Act also mandates us to pursue monetary policies to ensure or to attain price stability, to ensure the stability of the financial system, and then also to ensure sound and effective banking and payment system of the country. So putting all these legal environment together, Bank of Ghana has a role and a responsibility to ensure that when exporters do export, they repatriate their export proceeds. And so the use or the introduction of this LOC, is helping Bank of Ghana to effectively perform that monetary role, at the same time enforcing the laws on repatriation of export proceeds to Ghana.
All right, so you mentioned the element of penalties and, where people are fined or they go for a prison term or both and all that. And so that tells us that it's an element of intransigence. How rampant is this particular trend in terms of exporters who do not comply with this particular provision?
Following the introduction of the LOC and with this monitoring mechanism in place, Bank of Ghana, we were generating weekly report because whenever the exporters, use the LOC, for their export, the information that they input on the computer system, enters into a database. And once Bank of Ghana is also linked up to that database, there's a terminal at our end. We are able to spool and generate, statistics or data on all exports, as well as the exporter's record of non-compliance. So earlier in the introduction of the LOC, when we started compiling those data, we realized that quite a number of the exporters were exporting and they were not repatriating. So what we were doing was that we were compiling the statistical report, and then we were also in league with the security agencies because the law specifies the penalties, but Bank of Ghana doesn't have the powers to prosecute. So whenever that happens, we hand over those who breach the law to the law enforcement agencies to take up the issue of prosecution.
All right, so I just want to find out from you, do we have any figures with respect to the numbers of those who have not complied or those that you have apprehended using the security agencies?
Actually, what happened was that when we give the data to the security agencies, sometimes it is not always the case that they have to be taken to court. Sometimes they go ahead to use moral suasion, to get them to comply by repatriating export proceeds. Sometimes some of these people are not aware of their responsibilities, and so the fact that they fall into the non-conformity status doesn't mean that automatically they will have to be prosecuted and brought before law. don't forget that these are exporters, whose role are very crucial in the socio-economic transformation of this country by way of exporting and bringing the foreign exchange that the country needs most into the country. So it is not the case that we always are interested in their prosecution. So we first and foremost take the moral suasion approach, even when we hand them over to the security agencies, and they will do everything possible. And once they begin to have the feel that they have a responsibility and they owe it as a duty to repatriate export proceeds, and they do so, they don't get to that level where they are brought before the law court for prosecution. Almost invariably, the security agencies are able to prevail upon them to repatriate proceeds, because in the first place, when you fail to repatriate, the system will not allow you to do your subsequent export.
Right.
So that is the control mechanism that has been in the system. Yes. So the issue is that we've handed quite a few number of exporters to the security agencies. They've invited them. Sometimes they also invite us, to go and then give statement of a statement, to the effect of helping them to prosecute. But at the end of it all, I think, they sit down and discuss issues over the table, and that they're able to, enforce them to do the repatriation, which is good for Mother Ghana. So the focus is not to, met out the punishment, but to get them to comply by repatriating the process. And once that is done, we are good to go as a country.
Oh, is it that there's a loophole, or how watertight is the system so that people are not able to, as it were, try to beat it?
No, the way the system is very, very difficult to build it, because once that letter of commitment has become a mandatory document, and then every exporter, is brought on board in using the LOC. Once you use it as an export document to export, there is an inbuilt control mechanism. And the mechanism is that the system allows you 60 days within which to do repatriation of the export proceeds.
Right.
So the day count begins when the commodities are on board either the ship or the plane at the various port of departure. And so after the 60 days, when there's no evidence of repatriation for any particular LOC you've generated from the system, the system automatically will block you. And so unless there is a loophole outside the LOC regime, you can never do business again. So you have no option but to either repatriate the export proceeds, or if you have challenges in repatriating the export proceeds, you find a way to get to us for us to look into your case, and if need be, we'll be able to grant you an extended period of time for you to arrange for the repatriation whilst you continue to do your business.
Right, right. Okay, so as an exporter, why is it important for me to obtain an LOC?
It is important because, as I've indicated, it is a legal requirement, and so everybody will have to comply by that one. And then two, I've also said that this letter of commitment is a monitoring tool that helps Bank of Ghana to effectively monitor all exports, from Ghana, and then also to enforce the law on the repatriation of export proceeds. In other words, to make sure that exporters comply with the law. Again, apart from these two, we also have a situation where we are looking at data integrity. The letter of commitment, the database we are using, anytime exporters input, their details to export, the data is captured in a database. And so at any point in time, we are able to spool data from the system to compile statistical reports on volumes of exports, for a particular period in Ghana. Until the introduction of the LOC, there was a system in place that was purely manual, fraught with operational challenges. And following the introduction of the law, Bank of Ghana, with the mandate to see to the effective implementation of the Act, we designed an export document known as Foreign Exchange Form, right? That is FEX 4A. And that was purely manual. And so the exporters will have to come to the offices of Bank of Ghana, either in Accra or in any part of our regional offices, obtain copies in quadruplicate, fill in with all the necessary details regarding that particular export. And then after that, they will have to come back to redistribute the filled copies of the First 4A form to the various agencies having something to do with that particular export. Now, because of operational challenges, you come to Bank of Ghana and then you request for volume of export for a particular period. You go to other state agencies and you find out that they all give you export figures, but then the figures are inconsistent. So there will always be the need for some form of reconciliation before we attain data integrity for the purposes of preparing our balance of payment statistics for Ghana. But in the case of this LOC, there is a common database. Every exporter, wherever you are able, once you access the system and you log in all the export details, it goes into one database, and at any point in time, any government agency hooked onto the system with specific parameters will spool and generate a report. And when you compare the report across other agencies, you will see that it will be consistent. And so that is one major advantage that this LOC system, which is being hosted by Ghana's Link Services Limited, has brought. And so these are some, and there are other advantages, with the control put in place. I mean, people are complying and they are repatriating proceeds. And the more proceeds that are repatriated into Ghana, we are able to accumulate more foreign exchange. And we know the implications. One, to pay for our huge import bills. Ghana, is an import-dependent economy. Over 90% of the things that we consume in this country are all imported. And so we need so much foreign exchange to enable us also pay for our import. And then two, we also need foreign exchange to enable us, shore up our reserve. The Ghana cedi, which is a legal tender in Ghana, is not a reserve currency. It is not a trading currency. It is not a convertible currency. And so it is only, useful within the confines, within the boundaries of Ghana. So if you want to engage in international trade where we need to make payment offshore, the only trading currency are the major ones that you and I will know: the dollar, the pound sterling, the euro, and other convertible currencies. So when we are, with the introduction of LC, where people are repatriating, we'll be able to, build enough reserve to support our city currency and to make it strong. And that is also one advantage why there's the need for everybody to embrace the use of the LOC in Ghana.
So what's your assessment so far of the compliance in terms of acquisition of the LOC? Can we say that each and every Ghanaian exporter rightly obtains the LOC before he or she exports?
Yeah, actually, my information from the Ghana Link Services Limited, who are the technical brain behind this LOC, tells me that, there are about around 5,000 exporters, who are registered on the system, out of which 5,000, or probably around 4,900 and something. And then around 3,500 are active exporters. So my belief is that once 3,500 are active exporters, it means that they are all using their LOCs. Quite a number of them occasionally will fall into the non-conformity category, and then we will have to engage them to ensure that they repatriate proceeds. Yes, but then what I can also say is that, fine, we are not at a point where we all desire to be, and it's all because of the knowledge gap, that has existed. Some of them are unaware of the existence of these LOC issues, and that's why the Bank of Ghana, in collaboration with other state agencies like Ghana Shippers Authority, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Ghana Association of Bankers, have undertaken, this nationwide sensitization tour to bring the knowledge, to the doorsteps of all these exporters, so that they'll be able to comply and then to make Ghana a better place for all of us.
All right, so if I want to acquire an LOC, what are the processes I need to go through?
As I've said, the technical institution responsible for registering exporters on the LOC
Ghana Link
is the Ghana Link Services Limited, and they are using the integrated customs management systems. So the whole LOC model, is also embedded in that system. So as an exporter, you have to apply to the Ghana Link Services Limited for them to register you with all your particulars and your details, including your banking details. So once they register you onto the system, Anytime you want to export, you go onto the system with a given password. You are able to access the letter of commitment, and you begin to, fill the form online for your export. And when they register any exporter, it is free of charge. It's services that they are offering free of charge, and it is also very, very seamless and very easy. And then, so I'll take this opportunity to encourage all exporters who are yet to come on board the LOC to make the effort to apply to the Ghana Link Services Limited for them to be registered onto the LOC so that they can use the LOC to export for us to achieve our desired objective of repatriating export proceeds to Ghana.
There are some exporters who are of the school of thought that the LOC has come to add to the bottlenecks, already existing bottlenecks that they encounter in their quest to export out of the country. Shippers in Ghana have complained a lot about cumbersome procedures and processes, and all that. And they believe that this one is also one of the challenges that they would have to grapple with, perhaps also adding to the cost of doing business. Do you agree?
I totally disagree, and their concerns is far from what the reality is supposed to be. And I guess the problem or the challenge there had to do with the knowledge gap. Because as I did indicate earlier, the system that was in operation before the LOC regime was purely manual. So imagine you are in Paga and then you want to do export. You have to drive all the way to Tamale, where we have a regional office there, to pick the First 4A form, go back and fill the First 4A form, and then after that, we go around to distribute to the various or to the relevant government agencies having something to do with that particular export. You can see that it is time-consuming, it's a bit inconvenient. But in the case of the LOC, it's a web-based, system-generated, document. Wherever you are, when you are connected to the internet, you just have to key your password. The document will pop up, and you begin to fill in online. And the moment you fill in online and you finish, every state agency having one or two things to do with that LOC get their copy at their end.
Right.
Immediately, what comes to mind is Bank of Ghana, Ghana Customs Authority, the GRA, the Custom Division of GRA, as well as other state of even the banks that is supposed to be receiving the export proceeds will get their copies. So the system is user-friendly, more efficient, but I'm not sure what they are saying that it has come to add to the bottleneck, it's creating a problem. But I also understand the fact that there's this gap, of knowledge. People, don't know what to do when there are issues with the LOC. And so we take this opportunity to advise or to tell them that, look, the LOC is a system that every exporter is supposed to use. And so whenever there are issues, they should not wait until the last minute when their goods are at the port before they come to Ghana, before they come to Bank of Ghana to seek redress. Normally what happens is that whenever they export, as I said, they have 60 days within which to repatriate the export proceeds. So assuming that you are doing export on a weekly basis, by the time the 60-day period ends, you would have done not less than 10 exports. So the one you did first, the 60 days would have expired. And so after the 10th or the 8th one, with the 60 days expiring for the first one, you cannot be allowed to do a subsequent export. So what we advise is that if you know you have a problem or you foresee that the export process for the first one you did, you are unable to repatriate within the 60-day period, the system has an inbuilt flexibility. There is a query system in the LOC regime.
That was supposed to be what my next question. Where some of the exporters are complaining that you don't give them enough time. There's inadequate time for them to repatriate export proceeds, and they require much more time. But I think that they said you've made it quite stringent that they don't have any other briefing space in terms of their quest to repatriate these proceeds.
To a greater extent, in fact, I disagree with them because, as I was about to say, the system has an inbuilt flexibility. There are some exporters who require even less than 2 weeks to receive their proceeds. Some even receive cash in advance before they make their export.
Right.
Others will require 40 days, depending on the terms of trade signed with their counterparties.
Yeah.
Others too, we admit that they require more days. So the 60-day period that we use is an average. Okay, so if you think that you need more days, you only have to go into the system and apply for an extended period. And Bank of Ghana will gladly extend the period for you to enable you to repatriate the proceeds. So once you are proactive, and then you don't wait till your goods are locked up at the port before you apply for extension, this issue of the LOC being a bottleneck will never, happen. Because, for example, assuming that you ask your clearing agent or your forwarding agent to do an export for you, all along you have not monitored your non-conformity status. You are unlucky the goods get there Friday after 5 o'clock. Definitely, we are not in the office. Yeah. So even if you, query the system and ask for extended period, it could be attended to on Monday.
Right.
But then, if that incident happened on Monday, Tuesday, within 1 hour when we receive the query asking for extended period for you to repatriate, we do it, and then you can go on with the export. Yeah. So it's all about the exporters being proactive, monitoring what the LOCs that are going to fall into non-conformity, and then timely apply to Bank of Ghana for us to extend it for them. When they're able to do that, the system of problem will not happen.
They also complain about the subsequent blocking of export transactions if they are not able to meet the timelines, and if some 60-day period elapses. What is that about?
Yeah, you see, that is a control mechanism that Bank of Ghana is using to enforce compliance on the law of repatriation.
Right.
Yeah, you've done export, for 60 days. Now, within the 60 days, you would have done about 10 or more or less.
Yeah.
Now, when we even apply for extension and we grant it to you, we give you sometimes 30 days or even 60 days more, making it 120-day period. So you've done export for 120-day period, and there's no evidence of a single repatriation. Then we will be interested for you to come and explain why you are not repatriating any of your proceeds back to Ghana, which is contrary to the relevant provisions of the law. And so when that is your case, the system will block you. Actually, the case is that we are not interested in blocking people just to stifle their businesses. But we are also interested in the fact that you have exported so much, the foreign exchange that is supposed to accrue to the nation, you are not bringing it. And so what do? Do we allow you to continue to export and then not repatriating? And if you are not repatriating the export proceeds, then the question is, how do you continue to do business? Because in Ghana, the only legal tender is the cedi. So if you earn over 90% of your product in foreign exchange and you are not repatriating the proceeds, the big question I'm asking is that how are you able to pay for your workers? How are you able to foot your bills in Ghana? You necessarily have to bring the foreign exchange to Ghana so that you can sell it to the banks and get cedis in exchange for you to run your business successfully. So if you're not doing that, then we want you to explain to us how are you then running your business. And that is where we apply brakes on you until we get convinced before we take the decision on you.
Some of them argue that they encounter delays in their quest to access these export proceeds from commercial banks. Don't you think it's a genuine case?
In fact, when export proceeds are repatriated to any commercial bank of our choice, the bankers are providing banking services to their clients. So if a bank receives repatriated export proceeds on behalf of a client, the bank has no business in delaying making the funds available to the client. So, this issue hasn't come to our notice, and then I think that if exporters are having those issues, all the banks have customer complaint desk. They have to, go to the unit and then make complaint about the undue delay of accessing their export process when they are repatriated. If they don't find solutions to that, Bank of Ghana also has a complaint unit in some of our departments. They can also come and we can, call the banks in question to order to make sure that they release funds immediately they receive the funds on behalf of their customers. So that is the situation now.
All right, so I just want to find out from you what the Bank of Ghana is doing in terms of addressing this issue of non-compliance and perhaps the seeming lack of knowledge on the letter of commitment by some exporters. You just attested to the fact that you were all over the country on sensitization missions and all that. What is the Bank of Ghana doing?
Actually, Bank of Ghana, as I've said, at the moment we have constituted a committee, charged with the responsibility of reviewing the letters of commitment, process, identifying the challenges that it is having, and then preferring an appropriate solutions, to make it acceptable by all exporters in this country. So with this committee, the membership comprises Bank of Ghana and other relevant agencies like Ghana Association of Bankers, Ghana Shippers Authority, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, and other exporter group, leaders of other exporters group. They are all serving on that committee. We actually had a meeting at the beginning of August before we embarked on this nationwide sensitization program. And then also the committee is charged with the responsibility of designing a sensitization program periodically. So what we've just done is not going to be an idle wonder. We are going to do that persistently and periodically until such a time that the exporter community become fully educated on the use of this actual LOC, and so that they comply with it and make Ghana a better place for all of us.
All right, so this question is coming from somebody who works for the Ghana Standards Authority. And the fellow says, do you have any requirements the exporters have to meet? For instance, the application of standards and issuance of export certificates confirming the conformity of their products to standards.
Please, that question again.
Have you gotten it?
Yeah.
It says, do you have any requirements and the exporters have to meet? For instance, the application of standards and issuance of export certificates confirming the conformity of their products to standards. Maybe trying to have a linkage or a collaboration with the Ghana Standards Authority so that you are able to confirm that the items that a particular exporter is exporting conform to standards.
In fact, that bit of faith, for the most sure, Bank of Ghana, has a direct responsibility to ensure that. Okay. But then, before one is registered on the LOC system in ICOMS, there are certain qualifying criteria, okay? And one of the principal criteria that the person would have been issued with a license to export. So it is the licensing institution or authority, giving license for these people to export, who are to ensure that the product that are going to go out of the country conform to international standard and specifications.
Right.
So for us, once the person, present the license to export, be issued by an accredited institution, we deem it fit and proper that the person is meeting all international standards and that he can go on to register and begin to use the LOC.
Okay, so still on sensitization, when you went round, what did you gather? Did you think that you achieved the purpose for which you went round sensitizing and educating these people? What was the interest level like? What was the participation like? And from their demeanor, do you think that they have embraced the LOC?
In fact, the strategic program was a huge success. Sometimes we were even overwhelmed. We exceeded the number of exporters we were expecting to participate in that program. That really showed that exporters are very much interested in the whole process. And so what I can say is that there's the need for us to do more of such sensitization program because, day in and day out, new companies are coming on board, to do exports. So we are not going to, rest on our OS. It's going to be a periodic something that we are going to do periodically, maybe twice a year or so. We'll be going around, the various countries. Even as I speak to you now, having finished with the main regional centers on this strategic program, there is a program online for us to go to the border towns, to meet that section of exporters who do cross-border business and they may want to use the LOC or not. So this is what we are going to do until such a time that we get to the desired level of conformity to the LOC regime in Ghana.
All right, so I'm so happy that you've elaborated on this particular issue of sensitization, because it's one of the issues that we had, people talking about, that they are not aware. We've had programs where people come, they mention the letter of commitment and complain about it and say it's kind of like adding up to their woes in terms of their quest to export. So I'm very, very happy that you say, going forward, you even have plans of escalating this particular, campaign to ensure that they embrace and they buy into it and all that. But I just want to find out from you whether the other relevant stakeholders in this industry, initially you mentioned the Ghana Industries, you mentioned some others, a few of them here in your earlier submission. What kind of collaboration do you have with them in terms of your quest to get them to perhaps get their members to buy into this particular idea?
Actually, since the introduction of the LOC regime, we've had a number of institutions, organizing programs and inviting us, to go and then do a presentation on the LOC. Initially, when we started it all with the GCNet, custom official, the regional commanders of the custom division
of Ghana Revenue Authority.
Created a platform just here at Aliza Hotel for us to educate their members on the LOC. Apart from them, the banks, we've had opportunity to also do a presentation on a platform created by EcoBank.
Right.
And then also Guaranteed Trust Bank Ghana Limited also did same. Apart from that, Ghana Shippers Authority have also engaged us to educate and sensitize their members. That is the freight forwarders. They've also done similar. So apart from the generality of the sensitization program that we are having, there has also been instances where specific stakeholders have also engaged us to, brief their members on the use of the LOC, and it has been quite a success.
All right, so I think at this juncture, we can activate the phone lines. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and then contribute to the discussion. Remember, tonight we are discussing the letter of commitment, which has become a requirement. Indeed, Mr. Hammond says it's become a legal requirement in your quest to export out of the country. And so necessarily, if you are an exporter, you must acquire one, you must obtain one. And he's taking us through the processes you have to go through to acquire or to access it. And he says it's internet-based, it's in the system. ICOMS is running it, that's Ghana Link Network Services. They are implementers or operators of the integrated customs management system at our ports. And so you need necessarily to reach out to them, and then they'll show you what to do and then rope you in as an exporter, or even if you are a prospective exporter, so that you can also do business the legal way and don't run into problems where you would have to face the rigors of the law in our country. This is IMaH here on Metropolitan Television, Metro TV, and with me in the studios, Mr. Eric Kweku Hammond, Deputy Director in charge of foreign banking operations at the Bank of Ghana. We'll do a few messages at this moment. This one says that the letter of commitment apply to individuals who have stayed in Ghana and relocating their personal belongings abroad. It's from Isaac in Tema.
There are exceptions to the use of the LOC, for export purposes. Now, when you are filling the form, there is a field that asks you whether you are going to repatriate the export proceeds or not. So it's either yes or no.
Right.
In the greater majority of the cases, the answer is supposed to be yes. The no there is meant to cater for these expatriates who come on duty tour, and when they are going back to their home countries, they may want to, ship all their personal belongings back to where they are going. So in that case, when they generate the LOC, they have to, click the no button.
Right.
Okay, so that they will not be cited for non-conformity. Apart from that, there are other instances where, even though you are taking some things out of the country, for example, if there's a trade exhibition somewhere and you are taking samples of your product, when you generate the LOC for that, because no, you are not going to repatriate. They are just samples. You also click no. Especially, and then also in the case of the mining companies, when they are taking soil samples overseas for them to be tested and all these things. When you are doing that, you use the no button. You check the no button, and then you will not be expected to repatriate any export proceeds. But then, what the information we are gathering is that in fact, some exporters are beginning to abuse that system. So they are looking for ways to disable the no button, and then you only apply to Bank of Ghana for us to determine whether you deserve to check the no button before you be allowed to do so.
All right, this one says, I think this one's from Doreen. She's watching us live from BBNE. She says, what's the difference between a letter of commitment and letter of credit? Because they are both LOCs.
Yeah, as I've indicated, the letter of commitment is just an export document that Bank of Ghana has introduced, to facilitate export business in Ghana. But the letter of credit is one of the payment methods, that is used in international trade. And if you look at that international trade payment, there are three components. You have the cash payment, and then accounts, and then the letter of credit.
Right.
The first two, the payment and account, they are shortfalls, and they are not safe and secure. Trust issues are there. Sometimes, if it is cash before export, if you pay the cash and then you don't get the specified commodities you expect, there's no way you can follow up to the exporter's country and then trace him down, especially when you haven't dealt with him for quite some time.
Right.
In the same way, if it's also an account, it also has its disadvantages. But when we begin to use the letter of credit, it's a form of payment that gives assurance, to both parties that when goods are exported, they will receive payment for them. And their bankers are asked to generate the letter of commitment.
Yeah.
And when they do so, the exporters bank would also ask a bank of his choice to confirm the LOC. So in the case of default, the two banks are held liable, but then the exporter will be covered. So that is the difference. So the letter of credit is a means of payment on international trade, while the letter of commitment is a web-based, online prepared export document designed by Bank of Ghana to facilitate export trade in Ghana.
All right, so there's this message that has come through. It's from Ohima in Tema. She says, good evening, Iron Port. Is the LOC exporter registration a requirement for one-time exporters? Also, is the LOC exporter registration a separate activity from the LOC application, or the process of application results in registration?
Actually, once you have the license to export, on the basis of the legal regime, necessarily you have to go through the registration processes with ICOMS to get you registered on the LOC system. So anytime you want to export, so you could be a registered company or individual, on the LOC regime, but it doesn't mean that you are under any compulsion to export. As when you export, you generate the LOC, and when you generate the LOC, you expect a repatriation. So that is the situation. So it is not only meant for those who do continuous export. If you are one-off exporter and you do it once and you will not export again, then it means that you have to repatriate the proceeds, and once you do that, you are good to go. But then your particulars will still be in the system. Anytime you want to do export again, all you need to do is just to go on that system and then prepare the LOC for your export.
Okay, the second bit. Yeah. The second bit says, also, is the LOC exporter registration a separate activity from the LOC application?
LOC registration.
Yes. What is a separate activity from LOC application?
No, it is the same thing.
Okay.
You apply to ICOMS and they will register you on the system.
Okay.
So the two are the same. One is the same thing. So once we get registered on the system, that is it. Anytime you want to export, you just go and they key your password. And usually the password is the tax identification number of the exporter. So it means that before one qualifies to even be registered on the LOC system, you must have being a registered company, issue with a license to export. You must also be expected to receive your export revenue in foreign exchange, and you must have been registered with the Internal Revenue Service and issue with a tax identification
That's the Ghana
number.
Revenue Authority.
Yes,
Domestic Tax Division.
Yes, so that is what you need as your password anytime you want to generate the LOC. Your tax identification number is your password. You key it in, and the form pops up, and then you go to fill in with the necessary details, and then the export continues.
Okay, just for the sake of emphasis, I just want you to go over again the process that one will have to go through as an exporter or a prospective exporter to be registered onto the LOC, the system, in order for them to access easily letters of commitment.
Yeah.
If we can go through it again, because I think that the questions are still coming with
the
regards
process
to that.
is
Yeah, sure.
a simple one. With all your licenses to do business in Ghana together with to export, and then your tax identification number, you apply to the Ghana Link Services Limited to be registered on the LOC. So when you apply to them, they would capture all your primary data, including the bank that you are going to nominate to receive your export proceeds.
Right.
You could have one or more banks, depending on the company or the person in question. So once that information is captured in the system and you are given access, by the use of your passcode, that is the tax identification number. Anytime you are ready to export, you go on the system to do export. But what happens is that the integrated custom management system, does not register individual companies, but then they register custom house agencies or air freight forwarders.
Yes.
So normally, when you are ready to export, you engage the services of the custom house agents who are already down there working with the exporters since time immemorial.
Yeah.
And so once you engage their services with the particulars, they go into the system, and they generate the LOC for you and for you to do the export. Now when we went around earlier part of this month, last month, we gathered the feeling that exporters themselves wants to take control over the LOC issues, so they are asking that they be allowed onto the system themselves to generate that LOC. We are discussing this with the Ghana Link Services Limited in collaboration with the custom officials to see how best we can make that work for them. Once that is agreed and the system is designed, for that purpose, exporters themselves, should be able to go into the system, generate the LOC from wherever they are. That way, they'll be able to have control over the number of the LOCs they've issued for all their exports and be able to monitor and ensure compliance.
Right.
So that is also something that the Intersectorial Committee at our next meeting we are going to look at to make sure that whatever issues that are confronting these exporters with regards to the implementation of the LOC, we take appropriate steps to address them to make it acceptable to all, for all us to enjoy as a country.
Great. We will say thank you very much indeed to Mr. Eric Kweku Hammond, who is Deputy Director in charge of foreign banking operations at the Bank of Ghana, for obliging us and representing here on IMaH to discuss the letter of commitment, which has become a legal requirement for all exporters from Ghana. We're deeply grateful to you, sir.
I'm grateful to
you. You're
you.
exhausted. You should have been resting, but we decided to drag you here. Forgive us. But you've been of immense help on the show.
For God and country, we all have a responsibility towards Ghana and a role to play. And this is our small contribution to make this LOC work for Ghana.
Right.
Because as I did indicate in my earlier submission, we need the foreign exchange badly, especially in such a time like this.
Absolutely.
And if we don't repatriate, we are committing serious crimes against Ghana. And nobody will do that for us. As a country, we owe it a duty and a responsibility to make sure that the country progresses.
Right.
And we need these exporters to repatriate the proceeds to make Ghana a better place through enough foreign exchange to pay for imports, enough to shore up our reserves, because if we're able to build up our reserves to a certain level, it makes our city very, very strong.
Yeah.
And this volatility that we are currently experiencing, will be a thing of the past. We all want to stabilize, the dollar or the exchange rate in Ghana, so that we can all do business and be able to make appropriate forecasts without any intervention. So thank you very much for this opportunity,
Right.
and then may God bless us all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hammond. We're deeply grateful. Remember, he is the Deputy Director in charge of foreign banking operations at the Bank of Ghana, who joined us in the studios. We are deeply grateful to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Viewers, we'll go for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll zoom into our second discussion for tonight. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the flood have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Suddenly my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
You're welcome back. I did mention earlier that we're going to have some guests from the International Maritime Hospital, IMaH. The hospital is celebrating its 5th anniversary, and since its establishment 5 years ago, it has, within this short period, asserted itself as one of the foremost healthcare providers in our country and beyond. And so tonight, we just want to find out from them what the celebrations are going to be like, and whether there are any lined-up programs or activities that they would want us to follow, and whether they've actually assessed themselves and believe that where they've reached, they are there. And so with us in the studios tonight, we have Dr. GPHA Boateng. She's a family physician specialist at IMaH. And we also have in the studios Yvonne Phillips, Strategy and Business Development Manager, IMaH. Good evening, ladies, and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
Yeah, so 5 years down the line, what's your assessment of yourselves?
It's been a journey. It's been a journey. And I count myself lucky to be part of the beginning of the journey. So IMaH started operations in August 2017. And at that time, we didn't even have furniture. So I remember all the specialists at the time, we had to share one office, and it was a whole experience. But then we hit the ground running, quickly got things underway.
Were you in some kind of makeshift structure or something?
No, we were in the main building. Yes, we were in the main building.
Yes.
But not everything was, things were not all in place.
Right.
Yes. So we hit the ground running and quickly started getting things set up. So getting the furniture set up, getting the equipment set up, getting the wards set up. And we started off with the outpatient department. I remember my first outpatient client. He's still my client up to today, and he won't go anywhere else. And gradually brought on other services, the lab, the pharmacy, the accident and emergency. And then the imaging department, also well-equipped with high-end equipment, also started setting up, doing the various trainings for all their machines, and also started operations. So gradually, we rolled on a lot of services, and 5 years down the line, we are a one-stop shop for your medical needs. So it's been a wonderful journey, I must say.
One-stop shop for your medical needs. We'll come back and find out from you what are some of the things you're doing there at IMaH. But let me come to Yvonne, who is in charge of strategy and business development, and find out whether you've been able to assess yourselves, and you've been able to look at the public, perhaps engage them, and find out what their perception about you is.
Yes. So we've had a series of research, surveys, and all that to have an idea about what the public think of our services and the whole facility. And so the feedback we get is good. The service is good. The human relation is very good. When they come, the kind of treatment and the fact that, like she mentioned, we're a one-stop shop. You don't get to walk in and then you have to do one service here, go and do another thing elsewhere and come. At the end of the day, everything is under one roof, right from the beginning till you walk out of the place. The experience is very good. So far, so good.
All right, so let me come to Doc. You said one-stop shop for all your medical needs or something. Tell us some of the things you do at IMaH.
All right. So when you come to the medical specialties, we have our internal medicine with our subspecialties. So we have general medicine, and then we also have the subspecialties like cardiology, pulmonology, we have neurology, we have pediatrics, we have general surgery, we have neurosurgery, orthopedics. We offer endoscopies. We do endoscopies, both upper and lower. We also offer echocardiograms. We have our flagship imaging department. We have our 4 Tesla MRI machine. I believe everybody has heard of that machine. We are famous for it. FIFA has accredited it for bone age detection.
Exactly.
And aside the MRI, we have CT, we have X-ray, we offer mammos, fluoroscopy, and then we also have other departments. So we have dialysis and nephrology. We also have our pathology department, which includes the morgue, unfortunately. And we also have our physiotherapy department. We have our dietetics. We have our eye. We have dental. We have Basically everything. I think if Yvonne will remember other things,
Yeah.
you can add on, but we have everything.
She's practically mentioned all of them.
Yeah.
The dialysis unit you've already mentioned. We have everything covered.
Oh,
Right.
Ops and Gynae.
Yes.
Yeah.
Accidents and emergency.
Pharmacy, lab,
obstetrics and
obstetrics and
gynecology.
gynecology.
Yes.
We have our pharmacy, we have our lab, everything you need. Chemo, oncology suite, everything is there.
All right.
So that's why we said there's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Anything you can think in terms of healthcare, you walk in there, we
IMaH.
sort you out.
Great.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think the last time we had we had an interview with the CEO. He mentioned that you have in excess of 12 or 15 machines for dialysis.
Yes.
Yes.
That's true.
Which is a record.
Yes.
It's
No,
a
we
record
started
in this
with
country.
5 of them.
Yes.
And it's been expanded to 12 now.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Great. I'm interested in the bone age detection machine. I mean that one it scares a lot of people because
Don't be scared.
how frequent
Be
do
impressed.
people access sex services?
Okay, so the MRI, apart from bone age detection, does a lot of other things. So we use it in strokes. When people have strokes, we use them for brain. We use them to image the brain, see if there's a bleed, if there's a clot. If there are tumors for cancers, we use the MRI. So anything soft tissue, we are looking MRI. So a lot of people with back pain. Oh, my legs are numb. I have numbness. I have an antsy in my legs. Okay, so the MRI is the machine. Will take an image of your spine, and then it will show us all the abnormalities where the nerves are being compressed. So the MRI does a whole range, apart from the bone detection.
Yeah.
It does a whole range of services. And because it's 4 Tesla, it gives the best images. Nobody has 4 Tesla. I think there's one other facility,
Yeah.
but 4 Tesla is the standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'll come to you, Yvonne, and find out from you what activities have been lined up in terms of the celebration of the 5th anniversary. But let me remain with you and find out from you whether you have instances. Now, a lot of organizations complain about age cheating. You get the age cheating in terms of employment. You get to some facilities, you get to some departments, agencies, and you find people who are as old as 80, but they claim they haven't attained the mandatory 60 years, to proceed on retirement and all that. Have you had occasion where people walk to IMaH or people invite you and say, look, we suspect that so and so is happening, so come to our aid, let's see whether indeed this is the age of this particular person?
So far, not yet. But we are hoping that with the upcoming games that Ghana is hosting, we can put that machine to good
use.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
I think the employers are okay with people's football ages.
All right, sure. So let me come to you, Yvonne, and find out
sure.
from you. What are some of the activities lined up for the 5th anniversary
Okay.
celebrations?
So the theme for the anniversary is 5 years of excellent healthcare poised
Right.
on mandate delivery.
Come again?
5 years of excellent healthcare
Okay.
poised on mandate delivery.
Okay.
Yes. So as part of the activities lined up, it's actually a week-long activity. We're starting from coming Saturday all the way to the next Friday. So we started from 10th September. We're beginning all that with sports activities. We'll start by roaming around Tema on a float. Let me call it roaming around. We want people to know about us. We want people to see us around. So there's a float early in the morning on the 10th of September, Saturday morning. And then right from there, we all converge at the Community One Stadium, the sports stadium, where we're going to have fun activities. There's going to be interdepartmental engagements here and there. We also have the community-based football teams. Maybe I'll say the divisional levels. They are not corporate, but the normal divisional level teams. The various communities, we're also trying to play a tournament for all these guys. As part of the activities, we're not just having fun and walking away. We're also doing a medical screening for the public.
Right.
So you walk in and then our screening team will just, give you a thorough check. If there's a need to see a GP, you are advised to do so. And then at the same time, too, we're doing a blood donation drive where people who are willing to donate blood to save a life.
Extending an invitation to the public to come.
Exactly.
Donate
to come
some blood.
Community One Sports Stadium at 9 a.m.
Right.
That is when it starts. That is for the Saturday event.
Right.
Then we break off on Sunday. Monday, we still want to give out because we're 5 years. We're saying that we're known for excellent healthcare. We want to give out to the public.
Yeah.
And so Monday, we're continuing with the medical screening where now people are invited in-house to our facility, to our hospital. Just walking, we'll show you where the screening is happening. We take thorough care of you and advise you where you need help.
Right.
Then the Tuesday will be the Grand Derby. 13th September.
Okay.
Where we're going to now walk the public through our history, where we're coming from, where we are now, and where we're
you're
going.
headed, yeah.
Exactly. We're having the Minister of Transport, Honorable Kweku Ofori-Esiama, as the guest of honor.
Right.
And then we're having the Director General of GPHA also representing. We're having the Tema East MP, Tema West MP, Honorable Carlos Ahinkra also coming through.
Okay.
We have a lot of dignitaries that we've invited that will show up that day as well. It is open to the public.
Right.
And so that is what will happen up to that Tuesday. Then we're thinking that, okay, so we are interested in improving our services.
Yes.
But our staff, what do? We want to, do team building, team bonding, trying to encourage ourselves and motivate ourselves. So from the Wednesday to the Friday is more of an internal package where we're going to do activities such as pick and act, other things that will let the team bond together and then have fun. And then together we'll be able to give our clients the needed services that they need.
Right. Okay. So let me come to Dr. Cha and find out from you. What are some of the notable achievements that you want to list that you've been able to achieve at IMaH?
I think as a nation we were all hit heavily when COVID struck us, and I am happy and I count myself blessed to be part of IMaH, because at that point IMaH came in strongly and offered major services in the line of COVID. You hear a lot of people struggling to find a facility to be admitted to, and we converted some wards now to a COVID ward just so that we could keep on admitting people. We converted our A&E, a section of it, our general wards were converted to COVID wards just so that we could help relieve this burden that had struck the nation. So I think you may have heard IMaH out there during the COVID time, and that is one great achievement. We are really lucky that we could help when the country needed us.
Absolutely.
And then would also like to tout that we have what we call a cath lab. So it's a catheterization lab. Everybody is afraid to have a heart attack. When you have a heart attack, it's almost like a death sentence.
Absolutely.
We have the facilities where if you do have a heart attack and you come in early, we can relieve the blockage. And this cath lab also does a whole lot of other things heart-related, angioplasty. If you have a blockage, we can relieve the blockage. If you have a bleeding, we can block it. We can do imaging of your arteries and veins. So it's not too many hospitals can boast of having a cath lab, and it's a major, major thing. So that's one thing we are also very proud of. We are also proud of the fact that we have our flagship imaging department. Like we mentioned, the 4 Tesla MRI machine is none to compare, and we have one. So our imaging department also it's a one-stop shop for anything imaging, X-rays, MRI, CT, dental X-rays, everything you need, and your reports are given to you in a very short time. We will give you we'll give you CDs if you need to take your images elsewhere. And we would also like to talk about our accident and emergency center. We've catered to emergencies that have happened around and even far off. They have brought people to the accident and emergency center. And when you come, the team is always prepared. We have like modern equipment, monitors, everything. They are ready to receive you, and they will work on you quickly and diligently. So that's also one of our achievements. And then the fact that we also do major surgeries. So you don't hear too many hospitals carrying out neurosurgeries and orthopedic surgeries. We do all these surgeries in-house, and it's helping to relieve. When you go to the public centers, you see a long list. People's diaries are booked to the year end and to waiting to have surgeries done.
Right.
You come to IMaH, you can get all these surgeries done. IMaH is open to the public. I think because we are situated in the port, people have the mindset that we only cater to the port community, but we cater to the port and beyond. So anybody can walk into IMaH to seek care.
Someone was asking whether you do body sculpting over there at IMaH.
It's one of the services that we are rolling on.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Great. Yes.
Yeah, just to add on to the achievements, I think we earlier mentioned the dialysis bit, the fact that we've been able to expand from 5 machines to 12 now. When we started the pharmacy unit was just an in-house bit. Now it's a community pharmacy where you can walk in and buy whatever medication you want to do.
Okay.
And
exactly, and a mini mart in there as well. Another bit that we're looking at in terms of client satisfaction is the fact that we've introduced something called IMaH Culture of Excellence, where every Friday morning at 8:30, there's this interaction with all staff, such that we're able to bring ourselves up to speed in terms of what we need to do in order to be able to satisfy our clients better. So that every time a client walks in there, they go out of the place very satisfied. That is something that not many hospitals are doing, so we pride ourselves in such an innovative measure.
And you say you call that what, IMaH?
IMaH Culture of Excellence.
Culture of
Excellence. So it's a culture we're creating that everything we do, we have to excel in there, in order that any client that walks in there walks out of the place very satisfied.
Right.
And it's something we do consistently every Friday morning.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I'll still stay with you, Yvonne. I just want to find out from you. I don't know whether you've heard about public perception that IMaH belongs to the bourgeoisies, is for the elite class. Are you doing anything to demystify this particular perception?
Yes. Like you said, it's a perception. But sometimes people walk in there and they are like, oh, so it is not what it seemed out there. We're about 5 years. We won't say we're that old, but we're making the necessary efforts, taking the necessary steps to ensure that we are very known out there. Apart from the fact that people think we are very expensive, it is so not true. You know, it's a one-stop shop. What you may not realize is you walk in and maybe other facilities, you walk into a particular unit, you finish one particular activity, you're asked to go to another place, go and do something, go and do that. But once you walk in and you realize that everything is so seamless and smooth, you walk out of the place and you're like, oh, okay, so it's not for the elite, very elite and all that, exactly. Initially, the perception was more of it's a hospital for GPHA, staff, for the port. But now, I think gradually, with enough work, now everybody knows that it's not limited to staff of GPHA, and that is actually open to the public. So with sensitization, with education here and there, trying to promote ourselves out there, letting people know who we are, where we are, and what we do, now I think it's getting better. But initially, it was that bad. You know, the facility is that grand. You walk in there, and that alone is intimidating. You feel, hey, this facility is only the big-time people that walk in here. But you go in there and you realize it's the everyday person that actually walks in there every day to get the necessary healthcare that they need. Yes.
Great. Okay. Yeah, so just add 1 minute and then we are off.
Okay.
We're out here.
And then to add to that, to engage the community more, we've been embarking on medical screening activities. So we've been going to churches, we've been going to organizations, and we conduct medical exams for them, screening exams, something basic, but at least impactful. And then we get to let them know that we are there for them. We are there for everybody, so they can follow up with their needs at IMaH. So that's one thing we're also doing to demystify the whole bougie.
All right, great. Okay, so a big thanks to Dr. Yaicha Boateng, family physician specialist at the International Maritime Hospital, IMaH, and then Yvonne Phillips, she's she's in charge of strategy and the business development at IMaH. She's the manager in charge of strategy and business development. Thank you very much, ladies, for gracing our show tonight. We are grateful to you, and we are with you each step of the way as you take steps to give yourselves a FIFA anniversary celebrations.
Thank you.
We'll join you, and then we'll see what we can do together.
We hope to see you there.
Thank you. Viewers, this is how we draw the curtain on tonight's edition of IMaH here on Metropolitan Television. Remember, the show is brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goel Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services, and powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Remember to watch the read version on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television. My name is Kennedy Mona. God willing, which I'll bounce back next week with another wonderful edition of the show. We entreat you to keep watching our shows, our programs here, and then we will see you next week. Have a blessed week ahead. Good evening.